just ordinary people living in the same place as everybody else is. How come they're successful? What do you think? And not everyone at the same time, by the way.
Yeah, they have
They
drive.
wanted to.
Pardon?
They wanted to be
They
successful.
want, yeah, they want to do it, yeah. they do.
Attitude.
Pardon?
Attitude.
Yes, absolutely. So what do we mean by attitude? What does attitude mean?
Their perception on life. And
Yeah, yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, one person sees this, another person sees that. Like the old story of the guy that was sitting on the top of a hill. He was an old gentleman, and he was just sitting on like a bench, and he was overlooking a little township down below. And a young guy, came up to him and he said, "Excuse me, what's the township? What are the people like in that township?" He said, "Are you moving here?" He said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "Where have you come from?" He said, "Oh," and he told him. He said, "Okay, what are the people like that?" He said, "Terrible, very suspicious people, very inward, not trustworthy." He said, "Well, unfortunately, they're exactly the same. They're exactly the same, don't they?" He said, "Really?" He said, "Oh, okay." About an hour later, another young guy came through, and same thing happened. He said, "What are people like down there?" He said, "Where are you from?" He told him. He said, "What are the people like there?" He said, "Fantastic, great people, wonderful people, helpful people." He said, "That's what they're like down there." So it's the way you treat people, whether we like it or not. Okay, you go looking for the best in people, and you will find, even if it's only for the time that you're with them. A comedian doesn't have responsibility for whether people laugh after a show, does he or she? No, they're only during the show. So it's the same with our kids and what have you. We've got to do our best, knowing that our job is to try and help them in some way. And as I've said, there's a lot of nonsense in business. I still keep getting asked questions like, "John, do you think salespeople are born?" I said, "Well, I think it helps. I do think it helps to be born, because if you've not been born, that's a hell of an impediment. I mean, for a start, we can't even see you." So yeah, it's the kind of nonsense you get. People say to me, "Oh, I can't sell, really." So you don't have any children then? Sorry? You don't have children then, because if you have children, you've got to learn to sell. What are you going to do? Tell them all day what to do? What are you going to do? Ask them? What are you going to do? Parents say to a child, "Hi, your mum and I have been thinking about the fact that you're 8 years old now, and maybe it's time you started learning about the rules of the road so that you look after yourself and you're safe and what have you. So we'd like to tell you about it. Is that okay with you?" "Not really, I'm just a bit busy at the moment." "Oh, okay. When would be a good time?" "Well, I'll let you know, I'll get back to you." "Okay." Can you imagine parents being that dumb that they would do that? That happens in sales all the time. All the time. People ask permission to do their work. I had a lady ring me from Diners Club not long ago. "Hi, is that Mr. Lees?" "Yes, it is." "Hi, I'm from Diners Club. We've just introduced a new corporate credit card service. Would you like to hear about it?" I said, "No, thank you." She said, "Okay, bye-bye." Now, who in management is allowing her to ask questions of that nature? She didn't even explain what the service was. So don't go around asking permission to do your job. If you've got something to do, then do it for people. The question is, what is our job? So our belief at Bionic is, and Frank and I were talking about it on the way up here today, is we believe there are two specific gaps in business. But before I tell you about the gaps, let me explain the concept of what's called the value gap. The value gap. Just quickly, what does a restaurant sell? Food. Yes? Okay. First thing you think of, isn't it? Now, we're here in a meeting today to go beyond the first level of thought, because it can't be food. Because if it was food, it would be the most expensive place in all the world to buy food. You do realize that, don't you? Well, just think about it for a minute. Can you imagine people studying this from outer space? What would they say? What is wrong with these people? They could have grown that in the garden. They could have cooked that at home. But we're not going to a restaurant simply for food, are we? Okay, the food had better be good. Why are we going there?
Experience.
Pleasant experience. Yes, you okay with that or not?
Yes.
So what a restaurant sells, whether they're conscious of it or not, what they sell is pleasant experience. What they charge for on their receipt is food and drink. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, that's called a value gap. The distance between what a business sells versus what it charges for. So what we can say here today is that you charge for shoes, but you don't sell shoes. You don't sell shoes. You sell success with shoes. That's a completely different concept. And until you buy that idea, challenge it, argue about it, whatever you like, Until you buy that, it's very hard to be successful in selling. Because they end up selling shoes, and people say, well, I can get them online, I can get them online, I can get them cheaper, I can get them this way. They know how to buy shoes. Customer is a buyer. Look up the word customer in the dictionary, it means buyer. So, you know, they're looking to buy at the best possible price, that's what they're supposed to do. But the person that they are is looking for success, even though they don't ask for that. So, we have to understand in our business, what is it we sell versus what it is we charge for. Where's the price of a book, by the way, front or back? It's on the back. Does that mean it's unimportant? No. Price has always been a critical part of business, but it's got its place, has it not? It's on the back, okay? Along with the description of the product. What's on the front cover? The appeal to the consumer. So you have to ask yourself, and in fact, I've done this exercise with companies, large and small. If you were to come up with a description for what this business offers to people, and you only had like a book description, a book title, I call it the book title test, and you've only got, let's say, 8 or 10 words maximum, what would you write? Now, you could say something like, we sell shoes. Thank you, sir, for that. Please stop, I'm too excited. Well, you can't use that. We offer shoes with service. Customers are not interested in service. Sorry. Customers are not interested in service. You say service is critical, and not to customers it isn't. You know why? Because to them, it's an entitlement. You're supposed to be pleasant and nice and punctual. You know, if a customer comes in and you're busy, they know what busy means, but they don't like invisibility. They don't like you not to look at them and say anything. What does it cost you to be able to turn to someone and say, thank you for waiting, I'll be with you as quickly as I can? Fine, it's the end of that. But what they don't like is being ignored. So customers have no interest in, even though businesses go on and on and on about it, customers have no interest in service at all. Why? Because to them, it is the first entitlement. The second entitlement is being sole success, and they don't understand that. So they will never ask for that, and they will never complain if they don't get it, because they don't know what it is, they don't know what it entails. When they get it, they love it, they absolutely love it. Frank mentioned that one of our services under the heading of PS, one of our services under the PS banner is called the external team, where you get to meet the customers before the shop opens, after the store closes, whatever. You only need about half a dozen people, typical kind of customers, older, younger, new, whatever. And you just talk to them for 3/4 of an hour, make it informal, give them a small reward for being there, do it 2-3 times a year, and you will begin to understand the language of the customer, because it's different to your language, by the way. It is completely different. The understanding of the customer, the ignorance of the customer. Ignorance isn't bliss, potentially very dangerous. What they like, what they don't like in service, in retail, not just shoes, but everywhere else. Are you interested in that kind of information or not?
Yes.
How do you think it might help you? What is it, a staring contest?
I'm sorry, what was
I mentioned that because if it is, I won. Sorry?
what was the question again?
So the question was, what do you think you might learn out of talking to customers after hours, before hours?
What they want.
Huh?
What they want. What they
Yeah,
want.
exactly.
wants
What they
and
like,
needs.
what they don't like. See, customers are intuitive experts about service. And what I mean by intuitive expert is, what is your name?
Yeah.
Correct. Are you an expert on TV programs?
Not particularly.
No. But intuitively, do you know if a program's good or bad?
I could make a guess.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, while you're watching it, it's either interesting you or it's not interesting you, yes? Then you turn it off or whatever. So the customer is the same. Intuitively, internally, they know if something's good or bad. And they will tell you about that. So they cannot and will not tell you how to run your business. But they can tell you what it's like to do business with you and with other retailers, shoe retailers included, etc. You're either wanting to learn from that or you don't. Now we call it the external team because teamwork is impossible if you don't involve customers. They should be involved in the team. You know, you should be talking to them outside of transaction mode, listening to what they have, because they'll never tell you in transaction mode, by the way. We live in a civilized society, so if they get lousy service, they will never tell you in the shop. I mean, I know 1 out of 1,000 might, but most people don't. They don't want to cause a scene. So you either want to know or you don't want to know. So you then get external accountability. I take it you've already got internal accountability. That means results. You know, is the business doing well, not doing well, and so forth. Every business has that, but very few businesses have external accountability, which is, are we delivering what we said we would deliver? And only the consumers can tell you that. You can't get that out of your results, out of sales and profits. So, value gap, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, the distance between what you sell versus what you charge for. And an interesting way to test that is to do what's called the book title test. Now, most people I have done the test with, including people who walk around in pinstripe suits, is a description of what they do. That's what they usually talk about. Oh, we offer good banking. You know, that kind of crap. It is crap. Who cares? That's not interesting. That's not provocative. That's not seductive. That's hopeless. So you have to say, what is the element of success that we sell? And put it in the language that they can hear, understand. And don't try to be arrogant about it. Arrogance can be spotted a mile away. Okay, so the secret of their success is that they see 2 gaps in every market. Here's the first gap. First gap is access to product. The ability of a consumer to buy a product. Your market competitive?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Getting more so?
Mhm.
Getting more so?
Mhm.
Oh, welcome to the situation that everybody's faced with. This gap, therefore, is absolutely full to overflowing. It's highly contested, highly congested, price-driven, often. It's the domain of the customer. The word customer, as I said, means buyer. So organizations that say we have a focus on the customer, and again, they don't mean for this to be wrong, but when they say we have a customer focus, they're focusing on the first gap. They're focusing on the customer as a buyer. In this area, in this gap here, we are seeing what the customer wants. The basis of the word demand in business. Demand is up, demand is down, etc. In this area here, our job is to listen. In this area here, we're dealing with the past. And we're dealing with just the way people have done things in the past. And the way they do things now. People have habits. That's the first gap. Now, when you advertise and promote, you're bringing people in on the first gap. You know, you've got a good offer, you're appealing to the customer, and they come in. You've got to get the customer. You've got to get the customer in. And then we kick into the second gap. Second gap is not access to product. It's success with product. Completely different matter. And in every market I've had the chance to study, and I'm not actually sure of any that I haven't been able to have a look at, doesn't matter what kind of industry it is, real estate, shoes, anything. This gap has hardly been developed at all. It's an absolutely massive opportunity. It's a major area of what's called potential. And as you may know, you should know, the word potential is built on the word potent, which means latent power waiting to be released. So it's there whether you can see it or not. You've got to look for it. It will not come to you. So in this area here, we're dealing with the person. Now, there is no definition of person in the dictionary other than perhaps one that's to do with the anatomy factor or whatever.